Good afternoon, how are you all? If you're new here, my name is Abby and today's video is an August plant update video. I was going to film this potentially this afternoon or tomorrow because my last video has just been filmed, but I'm really in the mood to talk about my plants. So I'm going to take the time to do that, and I do think we've had some really nice changes in August. We had some not so great updates in July, but August is exciting. Things look different as well. So first things first, you might recognise there's a new plant behind me. He now lives there because that grew so quickly. So let's turn you around and show you what I'm talking about. This is where I used to have two Monstera. You have probably seen I've cut this one and it gave me lots and lots of plants, but now I just have the one here. These live downstairs, I just need to move them back down, but now that lives there and it looks really cute. I quite like that there's more space there for Magnus to play, but also it just feels, yeah, more spacious. There's less of a bushy plant as you enter the room. So I'm liking that at the moment, but will it stay like that? I'm not sure, but for now, it's good. And then here, I've got one of my Monsteras. So it's not the best place because the sunlight, obviously, like when I sit at my desk, I'm like pulled right out. The bottom part, the plant doesn't get light. It's really starting to expand at the top, you can see. So like at the bottom, it's like skinny, and then it expands out. Also, it's in a really weird position as well because the light before, it was facing this way. So all the leaves were like pointing that way when I first put it here. They're slowly coming this, like the opposite way, so coming towards me because the window is in a different direction. But I had to do it because this literally grew out of nowhere. So that's a big leaf, that's a big leaf. And it's ever since, like I've mentioned, ever since it's like started clinging onto here, it's just going crazy. So I do think it was trying to have secondary fenestrations, but I don't think they really formed that well. So yeah, I don't know about the other half, but this half looks just pretty standard. It might be another one like this that has two small fenestrations and one half not. Also, if you're wondering, that black thing there, I have just confirmed is not a thrip. I just saw that and I was like, oh, please don't be, but it's not. It's just where I've probably just damaged it. As you can see, it got a bit stuck, so I had to help it a little bit. But I'm currently like here, so it's currently the top of the existing, I think is 6.5 foot. But I think with that, it might definitely be 7 foot. So I cut this a couple of weeks ago. The update on this is it's starting to grow, which is really cool. I like that. It's fast, but it does have some browning there, which is not great, but hey ho. This is the leaf that I cut from it, which is really lovely. The top of that leaf, it had a leaf that was unfurling, which was pretty much the same level as that. I had to completely take it off. It was completely rotting. And I cut well below the rot, but I don't know. But yeah, there's a new leaf kind of there. As you can see, the tip of it's here, but it's not going to come out soon. And the bottom doesn't look amazing. So I need to do something with this, and I'm not sure what to do with it. I might try that in moss, because I have just had success with moss for like the first time ever. This one as well needs a chop. I chopped it here, so all of that was new in a couple of months. And you can see it's hit the roof again, so that really needs attention. It's just, I feel like I'm just having and making too many cuttings, and I cut 3 more leaves off for this, so I've sold those, but it's certainly not a problem that I like hate. I absolutely love. I feel really lucky they're growing. I used to have one albo. It was very low variegation, and I was like, why does this not grow? And I was always watching it, and it's probably because I've got so many that they and they're very old and established. Like they're like 2 years old now, 2 years old. Well, it's not that old, but my life is just busier, so I forget about them more, and I'm not watching them. Like I'm not in lockdown and I've got things to do. Before I had nothing to do and I was just like, this leaf has grown a millimeter. Like I'm just letting them get on with it. So yeah, it's not a problem that they're outgrowing their spaces. It can be inconvenient because I like them where they are, but the inconvenience is cutting them. And the only one that I didn't want to cut was this guy here, because I'm starting to see progress. Like it's starting to become that plant that I've always wanted, that really wide, beautiful plant, and I don't want to cut that one. So inconvenience of that is it's literally in my laptop screen when I close it, and it doesn't get the best light, but it's an inconvenience for itself more than anything, and it won't be long until I can move it, whereas the others I just have to keep chopping and propping and deciding if I want to keep them or not. But yeah, I'll probably have more for sale, like I said, in the coming weeks. This is the plant that I said I was unsure about the health of it. It was very dull, yellowing. It just didn't seem like it was like that happy. I haven't seen any pests, but it's still giving like a very dull look. But I'm just trying to concentrate on the newer growth. Now I've moved it, so this now lives upstairs. It lives in my bathroom, which I've said in previous videos, the spot this lives is actually kind of in front of like a glazed window, which you would think would like mask some light, so it would be less direct light. It would be more of an indirect light like environment. But I noticed plants that I put there, or probably closer to the window, just burn. Like I think that's a magnifying like quality of it being glazed, and it's not something I've got experience with because my last bathroom in the flat didn't have any windows, and joke's on me when I put like a cactus in there thinking that's really cute, it's really small, it can fit on the shelf, and I'm like, why is this died? Idiot. That was like that was when I just loved plants and I was very naive. But yeah, I mean, this one I'm not worried about as much anymore. But I'm glad that I have it where it is so I can keep an eye on it. I repotted it not so long ago and it's already like coming out the bottom, so I might have to repot it again, which is fine, but I feel like I've got loads of this size nursery pot and none of the size above it, but that's just my problem that I'll just have to overcome. I haven't got many updates in the bedroom. Everything is just like the trailing plants are just growing longer. Like this is like honestly just growing so long, which is fine, obviously. And the leaves are getting bigger at the bottom, like they're not necessarily small. So I feel like you can tell like that's a summer growth. And then these ones here are like winter growth because they're like smaller. And there's so many vines as well. Like, yeah, I'm so glad Magnus isn't bothered about touching plants because this is one to just pull down, but it is weighted down and it is in a heavy pot up here. So this is the one I wanted to show you. This probably looks recognizable, and then it's just honestly grown so much. So the good thing about it is this is growing so much, and since I very badly, because it keeps coming off, tied it to the wall, it's growing better. And although the leaves are coming in a bit small, you could definitely argue like that compared to that, like yeah, it's a bit small. But they're growing so quickly. Like these two were both like hadn't unfurled at the same time. I'm like, that's how quickly it's growing. I don't know what to do for it. I want to give it a very similar trellis, like very... So I want to give it a very similar trellis to that, just very minimalistic and nice, but I need to have a look into that. I might just find some bamboo poles myself. But the negative thing is these, see? One fully white leaf, another fully white leaf. So that means they'll come out and they'll just die. Like they always do. There's one half of the plant that always gives me white leaves. Like here's an example of a fully white leaf. So yeah, it just keeps doing it. And that half of the plant, as you can see, isn't growing like, oh, it isn't growing like the other side of the plant. So it's not a bad thing. It's just annoying that there's just no progress. And I can cut it back, but this one was fine. So sometimes it's half and half, and the majority of the time it's just white. But I mean, that's not just white, you could argue, but it's just not great. And the last thing I will show you, because I don't think I've showed you this since I bought it, is this very dry looking philodendron heartleaf. It does get watered, don't worry, don't feel bad for it. It's a very dramatic plant. It looks very sad right now, but it's fine. It's growing really, really nicely. I've been feeding it every time I've been watering it because we're in summer and that's what I tend to do. But yeah, it just sits right next to the window, which is why it dries out so much more. And it's just really kicking off. Like I feel like the stem, like thickness is like a really good sign. It's like really thick and healthy and nice and straight. Like normally they're a bit like wonky, like all over the place. But yeah, this is one that I used to have that I also repurchased. This was £3 from the same place I bought the Silver Dragon from. So it is very beautiful. Looks very dry, honestly, I know, but it's fine. It was watered a couple of days ago, so it's just drama. And this vintage terracotta pot, well, I say vintage, it was sold as vintage from the garden centre, but I think they got confused with handmade. I think it's more handmade, but it's really unique. Like I really like this. So I could probably just pot it into that because I think it's drying out because it's in too small of a pot. This is like quite small, although with it being in terracotta it would also just dry out really quickly even though it's in a bigger pot. But that is the future plan for this plant. That is it for my August update. I'm not going to go through every single plant. I'm going to go through the updates and changes that I have seen. So as we go through the year, we'll probably have less and less and less to talk about, maybe more and more issues because, winter brings loads of fun. But I'm going to park it there. I'm going to see you guys later. I'm going to get myself to the gym and actually do some work because it's just been bank holiday and I've lost a day of work yesterday. So I need to do some things so I feel like I'm actually working. And I might bring you along to the allotment later today because I've got some stuff to do, but it is pretty boring what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be, just getting like manure of wheelbarrows from the communal area over to my plot, which isn't exactly fun, but there has been some progress in terms of the way the allotment looks, what's growing, what's not growing, what I've had to bin out because caterpillars and stuff. So I might take you along. We will see. We'll see what the weather's like because it's not great. It's really not that great. It's windy. So yeah, I will love you and leave you and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.